saying protests don't have to be peaceful seems like almost a direct incitement of violence. And then you have Nicole Hannah-Jones on CBS telling the world that anybody with a rational mind can tell you that it's not right to destroy other people's property, but these are not rational times. So that's probably, in fairness to her, that's probably less than Cuomo's quote there. But it does essentially, she's saying, go destroy people's stuff. Because the cause is worthy. And so Donald Trump didn't even get anywhere close. And then you kind of jump into concerning those two quotes. And then you jump into the idea that, like, there's all sorts of other people on Twitter who probably should have been banned a long time ago, who are human rights violators. I know everybody thinks Trump is a Nazi, but to date he's actually killed 0 Jews. So I'm just wondering, I know that's a little bit of a rant, but maybe I'm the one that needs to go off and scream. But I'm just wondering if you can kind of speak to that in terms of where do you situate yourself in terms of if you felt like his tweets incited violence?
Well, as you very well pointed out, there are much worse examples, in very contemporary examples, of getting closer to inciting violence through speech. And as you mentioned, the law on this is pretty clear, or I should say, the legal hurdle it must be leaped to trigger legal trouble when it comes to inciting violence is quite high. It's higher than people think. It's certainly higher than our media thinks. Barack Obama, there's a long-standing use of martial rhetoric when it comes to our politics. I'm going to fight for you. We're going to fight. This is a war. The culture wars and all this stuff. Those things are used all the time. Actually, as you were talking, I was remembering. If you might remember, Sarah Palin had a Facebook ad that had targets over districts in the state of Arizona. And when Gabby Giffords was shot by a lunatic who didn't even have a Facebook account, it was blamed. That shooting was blamed on because her district was targeted, right? So little targets on a map on Facebook. Sarah Palin was blamed for her getting shot for stuff like that. So there's and Barack Obama used to say, you got to fight. If they punch you, you punch them back twice as hard. I mean, there are myriad examples of this all through our political life just in the last 10 years. And so the idea, it's funny. It seems like whenever somebody on the right uses routine martial language when it comes to politics, it's an incitement to violence. But when somebody who's not a Republican uses the same kind of language, it's fine. It's just fine. So there's a clear double standard here, I think, in our political and media culture. And if you read the president's speech at his rally, if you watch it, he said flat out, we are going to, I don't even think he said the word march. He might have said the word march, but he said, you know how Trump speaks. It's his words sometimes don't connect, but he said, we're going to go down to the Capitol and we're going to protest peacefully and patriotically. He said that explicitly, those 2 words. He did not incite this riot, which I agree with you from the top of this podcast, was absolutely disgusting. And everybody who was in any way involved in illegal activity needs to be identified. And happily, these idiots film themselves committing crimes. So it makes it real easy on the cops now, even taking selfies with cops. So anybody who did anything illegal needs to be captured, arrested, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, because that should not be happening in the United States. It's actually a little less infrequent than we'd like to remember, but it cannot stand. You cannot have that and have a democracy and have an American culture that we've all known and grown up with.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Catch new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman for free right now by going to YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Simply type Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman in the search bar and click on my face. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to stay informed when a new episode drops.